combine small town roots with business savvy, and you've got the Rural Rundown Podcast. We're sharing our marketing and branding strategies, tips, and tricks that rural businesses can use to educate, inspire, and entertain their customers, and to help you make sales and hit profit goals. So what does it take to go from your mom is your only fan to famous in a small town? Tune in and listen up as we feature business owners and organizations that are doing big things in their community and creating opportunities for generations to come.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Rural Rundown Podcast. Hey Brenna, how's it going?
It is going. I'm hanging out in Wyoming today. Just struggling through these smoke situations out here. My allergies are going crazy, but we're still on the road, so we're kind of all over the place. How are you, Rach?
I'm good. We are little history into the last week and a half has been a little wild for me. My husband ended up getting his appendix out, which really kickstarted us into harvest a little bit early, but it's okay. We're hanging in there. He's doing well. They just started edible bean harvest yesterday. So they're doing kidney beans and we're kind of moving into I put out some Halloween decorations. We're moving. I feel like I'm in it to be like, we're here, it's here, let's go. So
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love this time of year. This time of year is actually when I really start to miss home in Wisconsin, and I miss like Thanksgiving, harvest, fall calf sales, like all of that. That's when I really start to get homesick no matter where I am in life. So it's an exciting time of year.
Yes, it really is. It's a change that we can either resist it or just accept it. And it's a good time of year though, I think, no matter where.
Yeah. Fall is my favorite time of year. If it could be fall weather year round, that's when I would be the happiest.
Yeah, it is nice. I like it too. What are you guys, can you share a little bit about what you guys are doing here?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I shared it in the last episode, but we were in Montana. We put on a workshop for Equine Photo School, which is Oli's venture, his school that he has created, teaching photographers who are interested in equine events and horse pictures, that kind of stuff, teaching them how to shoot and use the same systems that he was using to upload photos fast, sell photos in the booth, that kind of thing. So we did a workshop. Since then, we've been shooting senior pictures, family photos, and we hung out with Oli's family a little bit since they're up here in Wyoming. And today we're going to go out and film some more video for the photo school for some online courses. And then we were just booked up with photos for another probably about a week, and then we'll head back to Arizona.
Fun. So you guys have a lot on your plate, and that's pretty, but you're gonna meet a lot of people, it sounds like, so that's fun.
Yeah, it is. And, again, the fall weather thing, being up here in the north kind of escapes us from the heat of Arizona a little bit, so it works out perfectly.
Awesome. Yes. So moving into the guest we have today, it's Kaitlyn Killoran. I know her. I've worked with her for the past couple years, her mom and her sister, and I just really love them, love these ladies. And getting to hear Kaitlyn talk today, I thought she really brought it and gave us a lot of good things to think about, advice for business owners. One of my favorite parts was where she really talked a lot about the mentality that it takes to own your own business and kind of be in this space of being your own boss and quitting your 9 to 5, what that looks like. Brenna, what did you kind of enjoy as we talked to her?
I enjoyed so much of it. As you guys will hear, Kaitlyn owns multiple businesses, and she's kind of walked through this entrepreneurial journey with different members of her family as well. So again, the mindset, the leaving the 9 to 5, what that looks like, and then really kind of I love when she talked about being bossy and sticking to her decisions, because I feel like I've kind of been there too, where especially my sisters, my family, always I'm the bossy one. But as we, look at ourselves as business owners, that becomes less of a derogatory or, oh man, I really care that somebody called me bossy, but more of an assertion into being like, well, you're right, I am the boss kind of deal. So yeah, I loved a lot of what Kaitlyn talked about today.
I really, piggybacking off of what you said, I've always really admired Kaitlyn because she does have that unapologetic confidence to her, and she's not she is just like okay with her ideas and her creativity, and she's strong about it and isn't afraid to speak up. And I think that's so cool because I feel like it's a lot of people struggle with that. They don't know how to do that, and it just kind of seems to come naturally for her. But I think, I mean, it's just something she's done. So I
Yep.
think I love seeing that, and I think you'll hear that as we talk to her a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, without any further ado, here is our interview today with Kaitlyn.
Right.
Yeah. Kaitlyn, thanks for coming on. How are things going today?
Full. No, today is going, it's a beautiful day outside. That always puts me in a really good mood, really good start to the day. But my family's sick, but it's all right. I just hate when I'm so tied down. Like I can't just leave, and I have my whole morning planned. Um, and that's what I have to do in running multiple businesses and having three small kids. Is like every second of my day is planned, and it usually works out really well. It works out wonderfully, but then two of them get sick and they're not at daycare, not at school. It's like, okay, now like I had no contingency plans, but my husband's also homesick. So he's miserable, but it's like I do have to leave for some of these things, but it's what it is. When you have businesses, it's not you don't just call in sick to work and stay home. People are counting on me. There's things I have to do today. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. How do you I'm just interested to know, with having to be like, you have all these things to get done and all these different tasks to do. How do you like keep organized? Do you have a system, or is it all in your brain? I'm just curious because I need help.
It's lists. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we are in similar seasons of life, I'd say. It's all lists and prioritizing. And years ago, I got really good at scheduling my days and like time blocking. And basically, so it's 20 minutes at a time. I'm going to clean my house. I only have 20 minutes. So whatever I get done, and I have to move on and not worry about it. Especially, Rachel, you're similar to, or both of you maybe is similar lifestyle where, a lot of times when people ask me what I do, I say I'm a stay-at-home mom. And it's like, that is not accurate at all. Like I am, but I'm not. But I am home a lot of the time. So it's extremely easy to get distracted on just day-to-day tasks. So the time blocking has been huge. And I've used that system for, God, I gave presentations on it like 10 years ago. So just scheduling your day, 20 minutes blocks of times, doing the thing first, eating your frog first, doing the thing right away in the morning that you have been putting off or you don't want to do. I am not awesome at that, but I try to. There's always like one project you need to finish, one task you need to do that you're just not looking forward to because it's not, either it's hard or it's just not something that, brings you joy. It's not interesting to you at all, but it still has to be done, like paying our taxes, every month. With the industries that two of our properties, we have to pay the taxes every month. And it's just like, if I would keep up on it every week, the monthly would be no big deal. But now here I am like 2 weeks late because I haven't done it yet.
Yes, that's the worst.
Yeah, time blocking has been huge, making lists. And sometimes I feel like I'm not naturally inclined to live my life off of such a strict schedule. Or it's like, that's why I started businesses, to have freedom and flexibility. And then here I am, like my day is planned down to the minute, but it's not like that all the time. And it's just some days are like that when I know like I have 3 hours of no kids and 7 hours of work to do. So how do I get it done in 3 hours? But then on the flip side, it's like everything's so scheduled, but here I am, 3 members of my family are sick and I don't have to worry about anything. I can just be home, and then everything can wait. So kind of a flip, give and take.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think for some of our listeners, maybe Kaitlyn, just fill us in a little bit about where you are living and what your entrepreneurial life looks like.
Sure. So So we live in Canistota, South Dakota. It's about 30 miles west of Sioux Falls, which is the big city in South Dakota. And we love it here. It's a town of 600. But I first got to know Canistota probably 8 years ago. A friend of mine was a gym teacher at the school. And then several years later, I was in between jobs, not really sure. I had quit a big sales job because I hated I was pregnant with my first child, working way too many hours, super not satisfied at all, like emotionally, physically, anything intrinsically with that job at all. So then I went on to helping someone build their real estate business, and then was done with that, and not really sure where I was heading next, but kids crying in the background. I don't know how well you can hear. But then so I get a phone call that the public school in Canistota was looking for a technology director, and I have my master's in educational technology, and I had never used it up until that point. I had a teaching degree that I never used because I hate teaching. I don't know why I did it. Totally one of those wastes of college for sure. But my master's degree ended up coming in handy. So I ended up working in Canistota, driving from Sioux Falls, and then really loved it out here as I was working at the school. I felt like Canistota is where you go to prosper. Like the town is so prosperous. It's so nice, like there's so many amenities. There's a great grocery store, there's a great pool, there's a great library, just small town life, but you weren't missing out on anything. I didn't need to go to Sioux Falls to get most of the things I needed. I could get it right in town. So then about 3 years ago, almost exactly, we moved here. And are now in 2 different houses. So now we're settled in hopefully what will be our forever home. But that always changes. Yeah, so we're living in Canistota, which is where 2 of our properties are that we own. And then also I have my clothing boutique open here once a week, even though our main location isn't, or once a month, and our main location's in Minnesota.
Wow. That's a lot of things to have your hands in.
It is, but they all go, I get that comment all the time where it's like, I go to the grocery store and it's like inevitable. Someone says like, "Oh, I'm surprised you even have time to grocery shop." It's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm as free as I want to be. And, there definitely are, there's always more you can be doing. But I always come back to, why did I want to do any of this? And it's so that I can have freedom of time and finances and just flexibility. So if a friend of mine has the day off and wants to have coffee, I am 100% there. I'm not too busy. I'm not tied down, nothing I do is like set in stone. So it can all be moved around. And there are definitely, since our latest venture was buying this hotel that I am the primary manager and owner of, things have gotten a lot more hectic as far as fitting it all in with the businesses. But again, we've only owned it for 2 months. Things are settling in. It's a self-serve hotel. The old owners had it set up. It's just so streamlined. It's amazing. You don't even have to check people in. Everything is honor system. It's so small town. I'm like obsessed with it. And it's only been 2 months, but I'm never at the front desk, and I've never not been paid by a tenant. And it's just awesome, and I really feel like I love the concept of like putting that responsibility in your customers' hands, because it's just like, if you give people the chance to be a good person, they're 99% of the time they're going to be a good person.
Yeah.
They're not going to leave without paying their bill because they don't see me at the front desk. So, and then as far as, like, it's not the type of hotel where we clean the rooms every day. Like I said, everything's self-serve, and most of our people stay for a week. So we have linen closets that we fully stock every day, and everybody puts out their dirty laundry. We wash it and they take from the linen closet. So it's a lot, but it all goes together really, really well.
I love that business model. It sounds like
Yeah.
Airbnb almost, like, but in a hotel model. Like that, I like that idea and the concept of that. What is maybe you told us, what is the population of Canistota?
About 600.
600. So it is a very small town.
Very. So the draw for our hotel, though, is that there's a natural chiropractor clinic in town. And so it's been open for like 135 years.
Wow.
And it just started with a farmer that started doing treatments on people and has grown to this crazy business. Like there's 8 doctors there. There's been as many as 12 doctors, and most of them are related. And it's just been this huge family business that really keeps the town alive. It's called the Ortman Clinic. People come from all over the country every single week. And so, when we first moved here, a big part of that business's clientele is the Amish, and some others like Mennonites and Hutterites, but mainly Amish. And because of that, all these other businesses have kind of popped up that are able to service the Amish because they are here for a week at a time. They want things to do. And I remember thinking, like, everybody else is making money off of this except for me. Like, what do I need to be doing here? And so that's when we first opened our Airbnb, which is just a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. And it's mainly for Amish, but we have guests. Whatever I don't have blocked off for Amish, it gets full of other people. We're kind of right along the interstate of people going to the Black Hills, people going out to Yellowstone. So we do get a ton of travelers, which is just crazy. I never would have thought we would be as busy as we are, but there's months where we're full every single night, and it's just travelers. And then, so yeah, then our hotel is mainly services Amish people, but not completely.
Right. Wow, that's incredible.
It's really it's hard to believe until you're here. If you would have told me that I would own a hotel full of Amish people, I would have said, like, what are you talking about? But here we are.
When you were talking earlier about kind of that mentality you have, there's always more to do. Like, I feel like that's very entrepreneurial mindset. Can you share, like, have you always been that way, like as a kid, or what has kind of like made you realize like this is who I am and what I want to do?
Right. Well, I've been thinking about this a lot lately after you asked me to do this. And entrepreneurs do not fit in any box. If you look at the different personality types, different personality traits, upbringings, you can be I guess I learned my personality types off of GEMS. So, but you guys might not know those, so I don't want to refer to them as that. But you could be the most uptight person ever and own a business, or the most free bird ever and own a successful business. But I think, there's a lot of things that entrepreneurs do have in common above and beyond that. And one thing for me is that I have always been extremely confident in my choices. And I don't know if my parents did something in particular to make me that way. But I have never been the type of person that kind of hees and haws over every decision. I just make it and am fully aware I'll just live with the consequences, and I'm fine with that, rather than going back and forth. And years ago, I read a quote by Richard Branson that said, always say yes and figure out the details later. And that is so me. I rarely say no to an opportunity. A lot of times I do it without thinking, but I feel that it has always worked out extremely well for me. Then that, there's always like this series of events, one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. Taking the job at the public school in Canistota that I'm no longer with led to us opening our Airbnb, led to us really being blessed with owning this hotel, because it was an extremely successful business when we took over, and the owners were extremely picky about who they were going to sell it to. And, they had seen what we did with this Airbnb. So now we got the opportunity to own this hotel. And, the same with Persona, which is our women's clothing store. When we first started that, my sister and I, let's see, about 7 years ago, on my couch in Sioux Falls, my sister had been talking about this idea over and over for several years of starting a clothing boutique, because it was kind of the thing to do at the time. Philly Flair was getting very popular. Different in the Mason Jar, those boutiques that are nationwide now that you hear about. And finally, I just said, let's do it. Like, I'm sick of you talking about it. You want help? I'll help you. And it's like, that's where like the star was born for what we have now. And it's just been years of like iterations of Persona and different decision making. But, it is hard for me. And I think it's probably hard for all entrepreneurs. It kind of gets old, like I feel like when you work a desk job, you have assignments 1 through 10, and you check them off and you're done for the day. And that is never the case when you own businesses. Like, well, I could go do this. I could go do this. I could go do this. But at some point, you just have to cut it off, and I think that's hard for a lot of entrepreneurs. And that's why a lot of people experience burnout, or their family kind of makes sacrifices, or, you're not doing the best thing for your family and your relationship maybe at that time when you're being that way. But it's just part of it. There's a big reward at the end if you can kind of figure it out and get into your mojo and make everything work. And, there's things like that come along with it that you just have to be aware of when you start a business. I actually got started in an MLM, was probably my first business experience. But Rachel, you asked about, if I've always been this way, like growing up. And yes, I have. I've always been, accused of being bossy and accused of being overly confident and blah, 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 things that I could give a rip about more. I've never really worried about, like, you think I'm bossy? I don't care. Whatever, like, I know what I want, and I have never been ashamed or afraid to voice that. And I think in today's, people are so easily offended, even when we first started going to market for Persona, we would talk with the vendors and, they hold up each piece one by one. And the process could take days. And it's so annoying to me because it's like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, I know what I want. And, my oldest sister was there with me, and she's like, well, you're being kind of rude. You could, like, and she's, psychoanalyzing every piece and telling them why or why not. And it's like, it's not rude to make a decision and be firm in your decision, and the fact that, if other people perceive that as rudeness, it's kind of on them. I'm not being rude at all. It's a yes, no. Same with when people come in my shop and I hold something up and they say, no, I don't do florals. Well, I didn't invent florals, so I'm not going to be offended that you don't like florals, or birds or whatever it might be. Yep. But yeah, I never, I don't know if you knew that I did that, Rachel, I was a Beachbody coach for years, right, in college, I think, and then after, probably for about 5 years. And I love MLMs. I think they're a great business model. But man, it is a hustle. I think it's one of the hardest businesses ever to break into and actually be successful at. And it's, I would much rather have my own business completely, where you're not completely on your own, or it's not totally your own business. But I do think I give a lot of props to the people that try to do it, and there's a lot of people that do really well.
Yeah, I feel like that's a whole like it's a whole different mentality and like a lot of hustle to build one of those. I've never done it, but I could see the work that's in there.
Yeah. Well, and I think when I had my Beachbody business, I just got so burnt out. And I just quit one day, even though I was making really good money, and literally just stopped. And then in hindsight, it was like, oh, I wish I would have just cut back and not just quit. Yeah. But it was fine. I was ready to be done with it anyways. And, it frees up time for other things like what I'm doing now.
Mhm.
But
like you said, I
take
feel like you got the full reins when it's your own thing.
Yep.
So
I feel like what a lot of people make a mistake with MLMs is they don't treat it as their own business. I know when I did it, I did treat it as my own business. I did run my, my email campaigns. What I can't even imagine what they looked like. And I would love to go back and see some of those emails and the designs I did and stuff. But I actually had most people that I sold to didn't even, or that I was interacting with, didn't even realize I sold Beachbody. They just thought I had this fitness business. And I had multiple people reach out to be like an intern in my fitness business. And I'm like, oh, I'm just a Beachbody coach, so, but that was good. It's all about perception. You want to build up that, just like we do with persona with you every day, build up that credibility and expertise, and people start coming to you, and then you sell them the product, after you're the expert and you're the one they're coming to.
So your sister runs Persona in Minnesota. Is that what I'm understanding?
My mom does.
Your mom
and
does.
My sister, my sister helps out once in a while.
So were your parents, before you started Persona, were your parents business owners before that?
My dad is a farmer.
Okay.
So yes, owns his own business. They have hog barns and crops.
Yeah, I'm always curious about people who come into this entrepreneurial life because, like you said, nobody fits in one box. And I really do believe it's like a learned trait to like learn that it's okay to work for yourself and it's okay to like have a business that you run yourself. I think from like people that I've talked to and what I see more and more, I notice that even further, that like if people's parents work 9 to 5s and that's what they did from, beginning to end of retirement, then that's like what they have to do is to work a 9 to 5. And I'd love to go back to when you talked about freedom of time and freedom of money. I was just talking, we just stayed with Oli's sister and her husband. They both work in the oil field. They both work 9 to 5s. They make good money. But I was talking about this concept of like how much money Oli and I make is unlimited. Like it's only up to us. Like literally the sky's the limit. Last year there was like $4 or $14 billion spent in advertising. Like I only needed a piece of that to make me feel successful or for my business to be successful. It's crazy that as entrepreneurs we have this ability to just make unlimited amounts of money, have unlimited amounts of time if we choose to. And I think that's a huge mindset shift. And so maybe you have some tips or you want to talk a little bit about mindset when you own your own business.
Right. You definitely have to be willing to take a risk, and I don't know your background for sure, but I know a little bit with Rachel's and mine. And I mean, quitting your 9 to 5 it's like it's cutting the umbilical cord. It is hard. It is so hard. And I've done it multiple times. And it's like a breakup. It's a terrible breakup. It's awful. And there's so much unknown, and thankfully my husband is in the military. So we always have one consistent income, which I know not everybody always has, but that has, all over the years been very helpful in me being able to kind of fly free, and do the things that I want to do. But I think I would have anyways, because it's just, I am so not willing to sit at a desk and be miserable. It is just, I'd rather die. I just think what a waste. And you're you're just living, you're just surviving. You're not thriving. I can't stand that. I went through a period of time where, it was just a low point. I was at a job I didn't love. I had had 2 miscarriages, trying to have a baby, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and was just like in this funk for a long time. And part of that was I was just feeling so discontent. And I remember praying, it's like, God, just make me happy with what I'm doing. I'm so sick of always striving. Like I'm sick of it. I just want to be happy where I'm at. And I never am. Up until that point, it's like I'm always like, I could do that instead. I could do that instead. I could be doing all those things instead, and everybody else seemed happy, with what they were doing. And I'm just like miserable. And then I realized that, with a lot of like some self-awareness, I don't know what you'd call it, some training I was doing, just kind of digging deeper into fulfilling your life's purpose. And it's like that sense of discontentment is there for a reason. And it's the reason that I've been able to do all these things with my life. And it's pretty amazing, and it's the reason that, I get comments and compliments all the time about like, I can't believe you're doing that. I wish I would be doing that. And it's like all of that did kind of lead to here. But so for me, I was never willing to settle for less than what I felt like I deserved and for what I wanted. And the big part for me is like, I literally can't stand it. Like I go crazy when I'm not happy with my situation and I'm not willing to put up with it. But I agree. My dad being a farmer, my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a while, but then worked at a school and completely worked herself up into an amazing technical position with no formal training. So just a hard worker. But, there was always something to do on the farm. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was some great farm girl. I absolutely was not. I was terrible. I hated the pigs. I hated the smell. I hated all this, but worked every single day. And, looking back, it's like some of my best memories are growing up on the farm, weeding the garden with my sister, because it was just like, who knows how much work we got done, but it was just like a country karaoke concert of us, singing and pulling weeds. And, it's like, that's what life's made of, is memories like that and working hard and having having something to show for it at the end of it.
Yeah.
I recently actually asked my mom, because my sister and I were 3 years apart, but we were quite a bit younger than our siblings, or a little bit younger, I guess. We were always together, and my mom would work in the summer at school. So she would leave us a list of cleaning every single day. Yeah. And I'm like, no wonder your house was always so clean. I feel like my house is always a mess. I'm like, you made us clean the bathrooms every single day. Who cleans? Like, I don't clean my bathroom every day. I don't vacuum every day. She's like, oh, like that stuff didn't need to be done. I was just keeping you guys busy. It's like, seriously, that whole time, we would dust and vacuum and clean the bathrooms every single day.
We had a list too growing up, except like I like to be on the farm more than my younger sisters did. And then my youngest sister, she's just like a chronic, like, get out of work as much as she can kind of deal. So then we'd always get in trouble because, like, the list wasn't done at the end of the day. And I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, like, I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
Except I was the younger sister, definitely. Like yours. It's called delegating.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the supervisor. That's what I always say.
Exactly. What is on that thread, actually, since you have, I feel like you've been a manager probably throughout all of these things you've done, not only for yourself, but for other people. Do you have any advice for people who are trying to delegate tasks and or manage people?
Yeah, well, people need to feel respected and appreciated. If you think about yourself, and I think a lot of times managers, I've had some really crappy supervisors and managers, and part of that is that, the expectations that they set are not clear, very wishy-washy with what they actually want you to do, and then also not allowing creative freedom. That was the one thing I did really like about my sales job that I did. I quit when I was pregnant with my first, but it was just too much work and busy. But they really gave me creative freedom to think about new groups to break into and how to do it. And I really did enjoy that part of it. But it was because, they gave me the freedom and flexibility to do that. And I just think a lot of people undervalue their employees. And don't let them contribute their ideas, without them being scared to say their ideas or, suggest a change. But I've always been the person to suggest changes, whether or not I feel like I'm being annoying or not, because it's like, well, I'm trying to help you. So it is what it is. And did you say something else? A different question?
I think you kind of covered it. I just talked, delegation.
Yeah. Well, it's just necessary. I mean, you have to, you can't do it all if you're, I did all these trainings years ago. And I think that really has helped me with the business world. And I would go to these business workshops when I didn't own a business yet, but I was just, amazed and enthralled by the whole experience and hearing about what other people were doing, and just getting all this business training, which I think was so helpful. If I had a business where I had a lot of employees, I would send them to a workshop like this, because if you have employees that are constantly being creative, thinking of ideas, taking initiative, starting even their own businesses within, helping work for you, that is only going to help everybody. You don't want robots working for you, which is what a lot of people have. It just stifles the business. There's no growth. You need people that are excited about growing, whether that's, personally for them or their own businesses while they work for you. I mean, I don't think any of that is a bad thing, as long as they're still getting the work done that they need to get done. Where was I going with that? Delegation. I actually sat in a workshop on delegating tasks, and it just hit home for me so much. So, what stresses you out? For me, I hate going to bed with a dirty house, but I'm not a good house cleaner. But I sleep better when everything's cleaned up, when I know everything's organized. So you hire someone to clean your house, and yeah, is it money out the door, money you could be keeping, but at what cost? And it's not just that, does any task, and as a small business owner, there are so many mundane tasks that need to be done. But is it worth your time, or is it worth paying somebody $12, $15 an hour to do for you so you can be creative? Because I know this has happened to us many times, especially with Persona, but with any business I've been involved in, is you get so stuck in these gears of just running. And at the end of the week, what did you really accomplish? You kept the business afloat, but did you grow? Right. And that is where delegating these tasks that, maybe it's something that adding your inventory to your website, you don't have to do that. Somebody else can easily do that for you. Or, just, cleaning the hotel rooms. Do I need to do all of them? No. There's things that, a lot of people feel accomplished when they're busy. And they like to, it's such a mindset in today's times that being busy equals success. And it's totally not the case. Even for you guys, like, editing all your photos, you could outsource some of that, train an employee that you trust to do that for you if you have thousands or hundreds of photos to edit. But a lot of people equate this busy with success. But then really, can you look back and tell me how you grew your business this week? Well, no, but I did a lot of office work, right. Or I cleaned a lot of rooms, and so not delegating makes you stay stuck, I think. And a lot of people, a different aspect of that is that I've seen businesses grow. I have a lot of experience in helping people grow their businesses. It just seems like I get questions all the time. So I hear about a lot of different businesses. And one thing I've seen a lot lately is that these businesses grow so quickly, like trucking businesses, like things that are just huge right now, that there's this huge demand for trucking or agricultural products. It's just really big right now. So they're doing millions of dollars in sales, and they don't have any safety policies created. So now you have 6 truckers on the road or 10 truckers on the road and no handbook. So if you get an accident, you're screwed. So that's something else I've seen is that, okay, well, does the person who started that company need to be in charge of doing all of this kind of scaffolding or things you should do to build your business correctly? No, you can hire that done, delegate that done. And what is it worth to you? Is it worth paying somebody $100? Somebody who will gladly take $100 to do that work for you, that it save you hours of time, something you don't need, that needs to be done, but you don't need to be doing.
Yeah. I like what you mentioned about the housekeeper, and not everybody has this luxury, but being in Surprise, we've started doing grocery delivery to our door. Mm-hmm. So we can order our groceries online, they get delivered to our door. So then we're not spending that hour, 2 hours, whatever, going out getting groceries. I know that sounds like the prissiest kind of thing to do, but for us both as business owners, for us to both find the same time in the day to go out and do it, and we like to go in the middle of the day when everybody else is at work kind of thing, sometimes that just doesn't work out for us. So if you can utilize grocery pickup or grocery delivery, if you're fortunate enough to have that, we found those to be huge time savers in our business too, because life has to keep going. And what we see is both being creative business owners is that we could just keep working until 8 p.m. and then we're oh shoot, we're hungry and we don't have any groceries. That totally happens. So I think my suggestion would be, it doesn't always have to be in your business to delegate or to put tasks on other people as well. It can be in your life. And we always talk about both Oli and I in our businesses trading time for money, right? So if it's lesser things, if I could have more time to do things that are going to make more money, I don't mind paying somebody that little bit of money to do some other stuff for me. Rachel and I have been talking recently, I've been trying to hire a VA, and I think through that process of delegating, the other thing I have to say to people is it takes time. It takes time to find the right person to come into your business and really be that person that cares about your business and fits your business model and can actually help you out. So I think patience goes a long way with delegation, and I'm not good at delegating. I'm I could just do this myself and I don't have to explain to you how to do it, whatever. But like you said, if you're not growing your business at the end of the week and things aren't changing, are you really running a business? Are you really thriving, or are you just staying afloat?
Right.
Yeah, right. I feel there is too, something that I feel I struggle with, to be completely honest, when it comes to delegation, is the ego side of it. And then the judgment side of thinking, if somebody found out that I hired someone to come clean my house, what, and that sounds dumb, but I think that's the way sometimes when you grow up in the community, you're supposed to do everything. As a mom, you're supposed to have a clean house and take care of your kids. And if you're going to run a business, you better be good at that too. You better be good at all of it. And sometimes I'm I think I need to just let that go and not care, because I'm only digging myself into a hole by thinking I can do everything and I can do everything best. And that's something I fight, I think, the most.
Well, which weighs more, your ego or your bank account?
Yep.
And I mean, that is so true. Whether or not kids just adds a whole nother dynamic, but if you don't have kids, I mean, just being a woman, and it is totally something that a lot of times we put on ourselves. It's not necessarily expected, or I think men today are not the men of former generations. They know that we work 40 hours a week, and but I mean, I feel that stress a lot of weeks is, I didn't feed my kids enough home cooked meals, or I sent them to daycare too many times this week. And it's just a constant struggle. But you do definitely feel judgment. It's I clean hotel rooms for a living and somebody's cleaning my house. And you just have to not care or not tell anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No one needs to know.
Yeah.
But I found myself, if I would have a day where I wasn't super busy, but I still just really wanted to bring the kids to daycare, I never would. I always kept them home, always kept them with me. And then just making breakfast, making lunch, making supper, because you have to make an entree and 2 sides for every meal. And I put that on myself for so long. I would never give my kids anything frozen, and it's like, I don't believe you still should do that. You should try to feed your kids healthy. But man, it was like killing me, trying to do all this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I can send them to daycare for 1 extra day or 1 half day, and then have a lot of valuable time for 2 days where I'm not focused on work, then I can delegate someone else to watch my kids for 1 extra day. And then I can be fully present for 2 days or whatever the timeline is.
Yeah.
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 What would be a piece of advice you have for somebody who is maybe looking to make that umbilical cord cut, leave their 9 to 5, and go full in on their business? Do you have any advice or encouraging words that you might give people?
Well, it is worth it. It is worth it. Whether or not you struggle right away financially, there is just something so freeing about being your own boss. And if there's anybody listening that has been, just in turmoil, like juggling this decision, this is something that somebody did for me, and I thought it really helped, is they gave me permission to quit my job. It's like, as your friend, as a fellow business owner, you do not owe it to anybody or your boss or your coworkers to keep your job. You have to do what's best for you and your family at the end of the day. And if that is starting a business and you really believe that, then you have all of our permission to cut the cord and do that, with no guilt, and you might feel guilt, but it's not going to be enough for you to keep that job and be miserable, because what are we here for? Just to be cogs in someone else's machine? I don't think so. And there definitely are people that are cut out for the 9 to 5 and they like it and they thrive on it. But a lot of those people too, were raised by people who were also cogs in a machine, like you said earlier. And I just think, once you see the light, once you have kind of a glimpse of the lifestyle you could have, they kind of start to see the light and want to be part of that as well. So just do it. But, you have to consider your finances. What can you be doing while you're working your 9 to 5? What steps can you be taking? You do have to make all those considerations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love that though. The permission. I think that was, when I left my job, I think that was a huge thing, is like having permission, having the like support from my family. And like, that's it, 100% right there.
Yeah. There was something else that I was thinking about earlier when I was thinking about, just advice for people who do already own a business. And I don't know why I was thinking about it, but just kind of was popped in my head. So it's not related to what we were talking about right now, but it just kind of comes to decision making within your businesses. And when you're making decisions to buy another business or start another business, or just businesses or business decisions within what you're doing. And, there's a lot of noise. People feel the need to give all sorts of unsolicited advice when you own a business, and it drives me nuts. It just comes with the territory, So it all comes down to, when you're making business decisions, you can't make decisions based on the outliers. So maybe, we have a very successful clothing business with a really, not specific, but, a really honed in target market. But then we might get, this is our target market, and then we have a 25-year-old that comes in that says like, oh, I wish you had some younger clothes that were a little bit cheaper. Okay, well, you're not in this circle, so thank you, but your opinion doesn't matter to us. Or there's someone else who says like, oh, you should carry this, I know of this brand, you should carry this brand. Well, no, we're really, really, not like we don't, take other people's advice, or take things into consideration, but it's very easy to hear the same thing a couple times in a row and think, oh, maybe I should be doing that. Maybe I should sell shoes. Maybe I should get more into younger clothing. Maybe I should do this. And it's like, you cannot make decisions based on what is not the norm for your business. And I think a lot of times it's very easy to not be black and white. You know, there's a lot of gray areas in life and in business. And but it is more black and white than people let it be. You know, it's like, well, it's kind of this, it's like, no, it is black or white. It is part of your target or part of what your core business is, or it's not. And you know, it's tempting, but it's just usually waste of money, waste of time, something you don't need to, you know, if you're a photographer, you know, like what you guys do. Well, we don't do newborns because they take too much time and that we can't charge that much. You know, you should do these 5 babies. Nope, that's not part of our core business, you know, and it's like, it's very easy to kind of, we could do a little bit of this and a little bit of this, but if you know the values of your business, your goals with your business, it is very easy to not let the outside influences and the outliers, the things here and there, kind of take away little chunks of your business. And it's really easy to stick to what you're good at and what you wanted to be doing in the first place.
I think social media plays such a huge part in that. Especially like being on the road, I haven't been working as much, but I can like sit on my phone while I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm like, I need to put some blinders on. Like, I need to stop looking at what everybody else is doing and thinking like, oh, I could do that, or I could offer this, or I could do something like this, or I could like branch off totally and like make clay earrings because those are super popular right now. Like, I do, you know, like I have so many things I think as entrepreneurs too, like so many things that we want to do or we see that we could like incorporate, or I could do this on the side and make a little extra money. And it's like, no, just like put the blinders on, do the work. And even now that we have a house and we have like a stable home base, because we haven't in the last 4 years, there's been times where I'm like, well, I could just like get a job at the coffee shop or something for some like extra income. And I'm like, but why? Like, so then I'm going to work for somebody else to make a little bit of money that takes away time from working in my own business. Like,
right,
all of it, like, yeah, and it can just get to be like so overwhelming. So staying in your lane, putting on your blinders, I think exactly what you said, like those outside influences, like they're there, but you just kind of got to let them do their own thing. Like, you know?
Yeah, you definitely have to. I mean, you have to be protective of your business and what you allow to get into your brain. You know, you have to have a filter on, because there's always going to be people talking or things that you see on social media that you could also be doing and you just can't, you know, and it's so hard, you know, because like you said, like, I could do this for a little extra money. And I think, you know, as entrepreneurs, we do have a hard time saying no, because it's like, I could do that easily. Earrings, those look easy. I could make those, you know, they can make them. Of course I can make them, you know? And I definitely struggle with that. And I know earlier I quoted Richard Branson, say yes and figure the details out later. But that is, you know, it's different, I think, you know, when people are just trying to fill your time because they know you have certain skills, like, can you design this poster for me? Can you do this for me? You know, because they know you're capable of that. No, you know, you have to say no once in a while. And then, just not allow, I mean, like I said, you have to, like, here's your brain, here's your thinking. You have to not allow everything through, because man, it's easy to get down on yourself. You could be having the best month or year ever, and it is, you know, a couple words from somebody that makes you feel like you're not doing enough.
Yep.
I kind of have one more little switching gears conversation I want to have with you. Over the years and all these businesses, your sales experience, your MLM, owning the boutique, owning the retail properties, and probably every other thing I haven't said that you do, I want to hit into the marketing side of things. What have you found that's been successful, you know, through the years? And what advice would you give someone who's like, hey, I know I need to probably kick things up a notch, what advice would you give them on where to start?
Hire an expert. Because that was another thing, it's like, there's all these trainings on Facebook ads. There's all these trainings on this. Like, I can do that. It's fine. But then they're hours long. And, if it's for me, I do not do well with the details. Like, I just want the spark notes of everything. Like, I don't need to know everything. Just give me what I need to know because my brain is full enough, and I am too busy being creative and thinking of new ways to grow the business. I don't care to know the back end of things, as long as I know I have an expert there who's doing it for me. But there I think it's good to do those, to be kind of self-aware of your own social media like campaigns or things you're doing, but definitely being really picky and hiring somebody that you have a good relationship with and can afford, and that has good reviews or a good portfolio. Because we have worked with a lot of marketing people in the past for Persona, our clothing store, and wasted a lot of money on just people we thought would be good and they weren't. But also maybe part of that was we didn't really know what we wanted either. So I think when you start having those conversations, if you do decide to hire someone to help you grow your business on social media and email, texting, all those things, that between the two of you, you have a conversation to make sure that expectations are very clear, the goals are very clear. Because I think that was one of our problems, is we didn't really know what we wanted or what we expected because it was so new to us. Where now I feel like we have really honed in on that. So now working with an expert is much more productive. But I definitely think for most businesses, social media is where it's at. And, it's not going anywhere. So if you can be online or virtual, or, you just reach so many more people. Now our hotel, that is not the case because we mainly work with Amish who don't have social media. But it's a lot of PR over the phone and in person. It's very much a trust relationship. And word spreads through the Amish communities faster than Facebook. I have learned that over the last 2 years. So if they like you, everybody likes you. If one person trusts you, they all trust you. So and I think you can build that through social media, build that trust and credibility. We just had someone in our shop last night that my once a month shop is open this week in Canistota, of course, because everyone's sick. So why wouldn't I be open this week? And a lady came in and I was introducing her. I had met her one time and I was introducing her to my mom. She's like, "Oh, I feel like I already know you." And throughout like the 1 or 2 hours, she kept referencing, "Well, I'm like you, Trish. I like this." And like you said, Trish, and then she was like referencing things from like the last 2 months worth of videos my mom had done. And it was so awesome, but it's like total trust and credibility without even having met her. So then when they did meet in person, it was just like icing on the cake. And like, I will literally do and buy whatever you tell me to because I trust you.
Yeah.
That is like the golden stamp of approval right there.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I think that my one last question for you is, Kaitlyn, with knowing kind of who you are and how you operate, what's next for you? Is there anything coming?
Yes, but I don't know what. I always start to get like a sense of it when something big is coming. Yeah, I've always been that way. I feel like my intuition or my gut feeling has always like something is coming, and I don't feel that right now because we just got into this hotel 2 months ago. But you go through different seasons where, if you are pregnant or just had a baby or breastfeeding, those have been the seasons for me for 5 years. And so there's seasons where you slow down and then all of a sudden that stuff is all kind of done. And then, okay, now I'm feeling it. Now it's the season to move forward. And we always do. So I don't know. I have a couple ideas. putting up some storage units, building some duplexes, different things. But I always think, gonna fall in my lap. I'll know what my next thing I need to do is. But for right now, we're really happy with what we're doing.
Awesome. Bren, do you have any remaining questions?
I don't think so. I've loved today's chat. Kaitlyn, if people want to know more about you or they want to book a stay with you, where can they find you? How can they connect with you?
Oh, Facebook is probably the best. Just Kaitlyn Killoran. And I'm assuming you'll tag me in this post or the podcast so people can find it. Otherwise, we are listed on Airbnb. I think we're probably the only listing in Canistota. Yeah, otherwise the best way is to just get a hold of me on Facebook. I think that's the best way.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. We hope everybody in your family gets feeling a little bit better.
Thank you.
And next time I'm traveling through Canistota, I'm definitely gonna check out a place to stay with you, Kaitlyn.
Yes, you totally should. Just keep going on your trip.
Absolutely.
Go through the Black Hills.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Rural Rundown Podcast.
Thanks for listening. You can always find us on social media at The Rural Rundown.
And if you really liked this episode, we would totally love it if you gave us a review and gave us a little rating.
It would mean so much to us. And for more small town roots and business savvy, catch us on the next one.